could you set us on the path to how you started that in St Helens? What was the background to that, and how did it run?
Right. Well, St Helens had a local education authority music service, and I worked for them for 3 years, and then they cut the whole service one summer holiday, and in those 3 years I'd taken on the youth band, as it was my thing, and we were just starting to find our feet, and then the whole music service was cut. So a few parents came to me and said, can we keep this going somehow? So I said, yeah, let's do that. We'll become independent. The authority didn't want the instruments. They didn't want the worry of having the upkeep of them. So we managed to get all the percussion instruments, 4 tubas, a couple of 4-valve euphoniums, bass trombone, you know, sort of the big instruments, which kind of got us going. And I formed a parents committee, and they basically worked flat out to get the funding for us. You don't seem to have any trouble getting funding. But well,
yeah, we've got very brilliant people that do all that.
Well, exactly. And people that were enthusiastic and, you know, can do kind of people. And we started off, and I just got as many kids in as I possibly could, as many bums on seats as I could, even if they could only play a few notes. And I wrote special parts out for kids that couldn't play many notes. And it takes a lot of time, but it's definitely worth it. And then just gradually over time, the band just got better and better and better. It took, to be honest, it took 10 years to go from nothing to winning the National Youth Championships for the first time. So it's a long road, but it's well worth it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can remember just being there on a Saturday morning, I think, and just being surrounded by children everywhere. They were coming out of every room. So, you know, there was more than just, did you have more than one band? Was there other little break-off groups?
Yeah, we had 3. In fact, I go back to see them now. James Hall conducts. He was one of my pupils in St Helens. Okay. He's a trombone player, and he conducts them now. And every so often I'll pop back. And they've got 3 bands, which once we'd got the A band sort of up and running, we got some kids coming in who were not as good as the ones that have been there for a while. So it seemed sensible to start a B band up. So we started a B band, and then that grew in numbers, and then we started a big absolute beginners band with a genius teacher, John Burke, who I met. The Associated Board run a certificate of teaching course, and I was the mentor for Manchester. And I met John. He was one of my students, and he's absolutely brilliant, especially with the younger kids, and he's got endless patience. And he's still doing it, even like 25, 30 years later, he's still doing the C band. And they love him. When I go to visit the band, I always go and say hello to C band to see what he's up to. And he's got some brilliant ideas.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, this is a boring, but how did they finance that? Did the children, did the families pay a subscription fee a year or something?
Yeah, what happened was I've always felt very strongly that the kids shouldn't have to pay to play in the A band. So they were out doing concerts and raising money, doing bag packs and, you know, stuff like that. And I didn't think it was right then to ask parents for another, you know, so many pounds a year. They pay subs in the C band and the B band. And there's a family rate if you've got several members of the family in. Okay. But once you got into A band, you didn't pay subs anymore because they were earning their money. Okay,
I like that idea. So if you had 3 tips for us to get a band going, what would be your top 3 tips, you think? Or maybe even what would you not do? And maybe we'll come to that in a little bit.
For a youth band?
Yeah, for your 3.
Okay, I would say get as many bums on seats as you can in the first place.
Okay, I'm writing these down. Somebody write these down.
Even if, I wrote them down earlier actually. Be prepared to write out music for, you know, the ones that have not been playing so long.
Yeah, got that.
Get a good support network from, you know, parents. One thing I would say though about a parents committee, might be a little bit contentious, is that the parents on the committee tend to see the band from the point of view of their child, and sometimes they can't see the overview of what's best for the whole band. So I was always the chair of that committee because I had no children in the band, and I'd got the long-term vision in my head. So you need perhaps somebody who's not attached to a child in the band who could chair that committee, so that there's some kind of objectivity, really.
Yeah, that sounds like very good advice.
And my third thing was make it fun, which I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
I've seen some of your YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, that, I mean, the whole policy for all of us that are involved, not just me, everybody, we try and have an open door policy and just let everybody come in and play with a smile, and that's got to be the way, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's been our success up to this point, and we really hope that that carries on, you know?